Hey there, it's Brian. Hey, I wanted to do this video because there was something that showed up for me, that this idea of reacting within. And this idea came to me in meditation, and I wanted to talk more about it because it was pretty remarkable what was showing up and how it could actually impact and make our relationships with others so much better. And so if you follow me and you saw a post not too long ago that I made about the arrogant mind, and I said in this post, I know it's your arrogant mind, that's why I still love you. And the whole idea was that was based on a situation that happened with me when I was working with a gal and who I'd worked with for a while, and worked with her daughter, worked with her ex-husband, and was trying to help them put the marriage back together and see if it could be salvaged. And so I'd done a lot of work with this gal. And she was going through a current situation where the guy that she was dating was unfaithful to her, and she was extremely hurt and mad, and you name it. And so she had all these emotions. And so when I saw something, I reached out to her and asked her if there was anything I could do for her. And she was in a place where she just wasn't receptive to it at the moment. And I said, that's fine. And I said, if you ever really want to talk, just know that I'm here for you. Knowing that I'd worked with her and her daughter and her ex-husband before, I was just offering my services and my help and really my love, because I knew she was going through a very intense situation. And so through this interaction, I told her and suggested her that don't allow society to make the decision for her. And I said to her, I said, look, if you really love the guy, then forgive him. You know, he made a poor choice. Nobody's discrediting that or discounting that. But don't allow the emotions or society make the decision for you. Get into a place where you are making the powerful choice for you. And not allowing the society and the emotions to make the decision for her. Well, she didn't like that. She said, I could never do that. I can't believe you're even suggesting that I do that. And so she really started reacting towards me in a way that I was really kind of surprised about. But I understood she was going through a traumatic and very intense situation. So I just said, look, if you ever want to, and you're in a space and you want to talk through it, just know I'm here for you. Well, after that happened, I was reminded why I don't do things for free anymore. Why I don't give my time or my talents or my services to people for free anymore, because I was reminded that the work that I do, which is very different than a lot of people do, and I have a gift to be able to do what I do. And I was reminded that I'm not usually working with the person. I'm working really with the arrogant mind of a person. So that's where that post came from, where I said, I know it's your arrogant mind. That's why I still love you. See, even though she was reacting outwardly towards me about something that she was internally struggling with, it allowed me to think, okay, wait a minute. That's usually what happens to us when something intense happens in our life, especially when there's somebody else involved. We react outwardly, usually towards that person, and that person becomes the martyr in the situation. And I was just the martyr in this situation. So instead of her reacting internally and really understanding what was going on and really taking responsibility and really working through what was showing up inside of her, she just chose, because she didn't know how to react outwardly towards me. And by doing that, she overlooked and missed out on a huge opportunity to really go within herself and work through what was really showing up. Because what was really showing up was her lack of, or her poor relationship with love, especially when it showed up from a man. Because she was just in a situation where the guy that she had been dating and who was considering marrying had just become unfaithful to her. And so when I show up as a guy who wants nothing, needs nothing from her, but was just showing up from a place of pure love to help her and support her and talk through what she was going through, I was just the reflection that of her relationship or lack of relationship towards love, and especially towards love from a man. I was the martyr in that situation. So that happened a while back, but a couple other interesting situations just showed up again this past week or so. And ironically, it was with women who don't have a solid relationship with love, and certainly not a solid positive relationship with love when it comes to men. So here I found myself in a situation again where I was there to support these women and help them through it and just love them, because that's just what I do. I am love. So I am always loving people and helping them through whatever situation they are. Well, the other situation where I was supporting this woman, and these all these women are great women. So don't think anything other than that. They're great women just going through some interesting challenges currently in their life, especially when it comes to relationship with love from a man. And it shows up even when it's not a romantic love that is being shown from a man. It's just the reflection of man love and their lack of relationship that they have with the two. So the other situation showed up where I was supporting this woman as, like I said, a great woman, but I was shining the light of awareness on her and her greatness. And she was giving all this power to someone else when she was overlooking her own true power. And so what I was doing is I was just shining the light of awareness and truth on her greatness. And I could see and feel her energy shift, and she became annoyed with me. And so I even asked her, I said, "Did I say something that annoyed you?" And she says, "Yes, something you said to me just didn't resonate." And all I was doing was showing her love and showing her and reminding her what an amazing woman she is. And so when that showed up, again, I'm like, why are these women reacting outwardly towards me when I'm just showing love? So I started thinking about it. Well, as I'm thinking through that some more, another situation showed up where another great woman who was going through an intense period of time where a guy that she was very attached to was doing some horrible things. And I was working through her and giving her the encouragement and support and just suggestions and telling her, look, what you're feeling right now is a bunch of intense energy. What I would suggest to you is just stop what you're doing, breathe. But more importantly, I want you to ground yourself because you're holding on to a lot of intense energy right now. Well, apparently it wasn't what she wanted to hear. And I was the reflection that a guy showing love, knowing what had just happened with this guy that she was attached to and cared for, I was just the reflection of the poor relationship or the negative relationship that she had with love and love from a man. Even though it wasn't a romantic love, it was just love. It was just the lack of relationship that she had with love and love from a man. So she started getting very upset with me and saying that I just don't understand, you don't know me, you can't understand this, and she was in a very, very intense situation. And again, reacting outwardly towards me instead of going within and really discovering and becoming aware of what's really happening and showing up and what's going on inside of her. Because that's where it's all at. Again, I was just the martyr. And so I totally get it, because when we have a poor relationship with love, and this relationship is even when it comes to self-love, we start doing some crazy shit and we avoid it. We make other people the martyr. We just completely disconnect from reality, to be honest with you. And I can relate to this because there was a point in my life where all of my value and worth came from outside of me. Because at that point I wasn't aware of what I know now. And so I was a competitive triathlete. I was in the best shape of my life. But I was getting all of my value and worth outside of me. Creating businesses, being a triathlete, being the best I can outwardly. But at that point in my life, I was doing very little work inside of me. And I remember getting ready for a competition, and so I was in the best shape of my life. And I'm over at the pool, and a friend of mine, Rick, says to me, "Brian, your abs look amazing." Well, I don't tell you that because I want you to think I've got great abs. But I'm telling you this because at that point in my life, I didn't have the self-love that I certainly have today. And so when he was telling me this and showing me the love that he was by just giving me a compliment, it made me really uncomfortable. And what I did is I deflected it as soon as I could and as fast as I could. And I remember saying to him, even though I was in the best shape of my life, my body fat is 6% at this point, and I say to him, well, I still have work to do. Because now there wasn't a whole lot of work that anybody could do when I was in that kind of shape. But because of the compliment and the love that he was sharing with me in the form of a compliment, it made me so uncomfortable. And instead of just accepting it, I was doing everything I could to get away from that moment of that compliment. And this is what these women were doing in the situation where I was involved. They didn't know how to react within and go within themselves and really discover what's really going on. So the easier thing for them to do was to react outwardly towards me and make me the martyr. Because it's always easier for all of us to blame someone else than to go inwardly and really take a deeper look within ourselves. Because that requires us to become extremely vulnerable. And most people are so freaked out about becoming vulnerable because they go into a place of truth that they're not used to seeing. And it's a scary place for most people because they don't realize how magical it is when you get to a place of vulnerability and you discover the truth. Because when you do, you discover that it's not near as scary as that the mind made it out to be. So I could totally relate to these women. And so as I started thinking through that more, I was like, what is showing up? And it dawned on me. And it is, without a doubt, when something has an impact on us that is so significant where we are reacting in a way that is outwardly towards someone, it is a direct reflection of what's really showing up within us. It's a direct reflection of something that we think we lack or we don't deserve or we're just uncomfortable with. And instead of going inwardly and really working through that and discovering what's really showing up and then getting to a place of just acknowledging it embracing it, and then loving it, where it eventually will just fall away naturally, people will start reacting outwardly because it's a safer place for them. So I tell you this because if you find yourself reacting outwardly towards your partner, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, whoever they are, it's an indication and an indicator for you to stop and start going inwardly and discovering what's really showing up for you. What is it that's really creating and causing this reaction? Because it's not the person that you're reacting towards. They're just the martyr, unfortunately. It's something within you that you haven't worked through yet. And you may have started wanting to get rid of it and push it away and avoid it and forget about it. And that's why it continues to surface from time to time when there's a trigger, something that's said, something that's done. So if you find yourself in those situations, it's a perfect opportunity for you to stop and go inwardly. Because I can tell you, when you get to a place of knowing and understanding who and what you really are, there really is no such thing as outside of you. It's just the people that keep showing up in your life that is triggering something that creates and causes that reaction is an opportunity for you to see the reflection that they are and become for you so that you can really start doing the deeper work. Because I can assure you, when you start reacting within and start discovering what's really showing up and what's really the truth, that's when your life becomes magical. You start taking on this whole new idea and this whole new feeling of freedom. And there is this peace of mind that comes with that you probably can't even comprehend at this point. So, if you find yourself reacting outwardly towards people, stop what you're doing, start going within and reacting within you, because it's a clear indicator and an opportunity that you will be able to expand to a level again like you can't even comprehend right now. And also, if you do find yourself reacting outwardly, it's your opportunity to stop again and let the person know that it has nothing to do with them. Apologize to them so that they don't take on the responsibility that isn't their responsibility based on you reacting towards them. And let them know that instead of reacting outwardly, you're going to do your best to start reacting inwardly so that you can finally get to a point of acknowledging the truth, embracing that, and loving that, so it eventually just falls away naturally. So again, instead of reacting outwardly, start reacting inwardly. Because when we start doing that, our relationships will go to levels that we can't even comprehend. So, with that being said, stay well.